Hey, how's it going? And today is episode 120. 120, 120. Now, in today's episode itself, I would want to share with you what's going to be coming up. But before that, I would want to be able to reveal a little bit about what's going to happen here on this show. Now, I have been really l- going deep dive and looking at speaking to lots of people. And one of the phenomenal that I have been seeing lately is that people are kind of moving away from certain social media platforms. And the reason why people are moving away from a social media platform is because it no longer gave them the kind of traction that they were looking for. And so that's where people turn and go somewhere else. Now, do you have a social media platform that you use for business and in the past it worked really, really well for you, and then suddenly it just stopped working? Is there a platform that you are experiencing that? If there is, share it with me. All right. And so today, what we want to talk about is this idea of flywheel. Now, if you're not familiar with the term flywheel itself, flywheel essentially is, the best way to think about flywheel actually is to show you an example. And the example that I have in mind, it's the flywheel, the Amazon.com flywheel. Now let's see if I can pull out something for you here. Okay. Well, so in case you are wondering, this is one of um, this is one of the tools that I have been absolutely fascinated with because I think, with regards to the flywheel, it's something that it's really, really interesting. So let's take a look at that. All right. So this essentially is the flywheel. And so if you look at this diagram itself, this is a flywheel for Amazon. And so the whole idea with the flywheel is that a company will start doing certain things. As they start doing it, it leads them to the next logical thing. And with that next logical thing, it then creates such a great momentum that it goes to the next level and it builds on it. So think about in the days of a fax machine, if what a fax machine is. In the days of the fax machine, if you are the only one in the world that has a fax machine, the fax machine isn't going to be very popular because there is no one to fax to. But if 10 people start having fax machines, then at least within this 10 people, you could send faxes to each other. And of course, if you go on to 100 people or 10,000 people having fax machines, then literally you have a direct line to the White House. You have a direct line that you could send a message, a written message to any one of those people that you have the number to. So I recall in the year 2002, 2003, when I started line consulting, one of the strategies that we deploy was actually using fax machine. And the way that we did that was that we were just sending out faxes. So we upload all the numbers to this um, to a spreadsheet, and then we use WinFax. If you still recall WinFax, right? We use WinFax to send out all those faxes in the middle of the night. And so, the next day when we get to the office, the recipient would have already gotten the faxes. And so we're going to call them like first things in the morning. And when we call them, of course, they have seen the faxes, it's fresh in their mind. And that's how we were able to close appointments. And so think about it that way. If you only had like one or two faxes, it's not going to make a huge difference to the value of the fax machine. But when you have a whole world where literally anybody and everybody who wants a fax machine can have one, the value of the fax machine grew tremendously. So think about email, it's the same thing, right? Like a network effect. Think about Facebook, it's the same thing, it's a network effect. Because if just a few people have a Facebook account, then it's just a very small group of people. But once everybody start having a Facebook account, then what's going to happen is that you have more people to connect with and there are more dimensions, and this whole thing just grow on his own. So the idea of a flywheel, it's pretty much the same as a network effect, except that this is in the context of a company. So in this diagram here, um, one of the key things that Amazon started to do was actually to provide low cost alternative, lower cost. So think of Walmart. Amazon is or was an online version of Walmart. And so what happens when you have lower costs? If you are the consumer, obviously you are going to flock to this platform and you are going to start ordering goods from there. Now, one of the key things that Amazon has done that was truly great was to provide a great customer experience. Now, that great customer experience ranges from if you place an order and if the order is in any way, shape, and form defective, or the order came not in the state that you expect it to be, or in the worst case scenario, you never even receive the parcel at all you need to do is to contact Amazon.com, and that people will be able to assist you with whatever that has happened. So, of course, one of the things that could potentially happen to kind of resolve that for you is to give you a refund. So, for example, for me personally, I have made orders via Amazon.com, especially when I was in the US. And there were instances whereby it says that the package was delivered, but I never got the package. And so when I contacted them, almost immediately they offered me either a refund or an overnight shipping to my location um, for the orders that I've placed. And so that created a great customer experience, something that you will not have in some of the local stores itself, right? Try exchanging something at a local store. That's the kind of nightmare that you can possibly imagine. Now, of course, once you have a positive customer experience, plus it's a place for you to really look at the huge amount of um, that was Siri. Anyways, um, you need to go to a place and you have the huge amount of options available to you, and in addition to that is a lower cost. What's going to happen is you are going to keep going back, and when you keep going back, and in addition to that, you are going to tell your friends about it, which I had, right? I've told many people about my positive experience shopping with Amazon. And what that happens is that it creates more, word of mouth, and more people would want to shop on Amazon. And with that, more people coming in, it's definitely going to attract more sellers. And with more sellers, of course, you're going to have that price competition, and in addition to that, you're going to have a wider selection of goods and services. And with that, the wider selection, what's going to happen is you're going to get more people ordering, and so that kind of drive the cost down in terms of fixed costs. So that has been the premise of the flywheel for Amazon. And so what we have started on doing is we want to take few things. Number one is we want to take the idea of a flywheel and apply it to the digital business. So we look at the digital business. If you only look at that marketing funnel, it's probably akin to just saying that, well, if I am going to buy a company, I'm just going to look at how much money they spend on advertising, right? I mean, it's absurd. So just looking at the marketing funnel itself may give you a glimpse of what is the process, but it doesn't give you the entire picture. So what you really want to do is you really want to dig deep into what is the entire flywheel system that this digital business have. So off the top of our head, we have identified several flywheels of several digital business. And what we're going to do is we are going to, deconstruct that flywheel. I mean, we started them. We've been following many of them for a while now, And what we want to do is we want to dive deep into their flywheel system. And so the first one that we are going to do is this site called unemployable.com. So, in case you're not familiar with unemployable.com is actually a project by Brian Clark from Copyblogger. And so, on this particular site itself, the main value proposition is that it provides you with actionable advice for a small business, a one-person business, right? One-person business who is making seven figures, and and that's what they are going to be doing. So, they give you tips and strategies in terms of what you can do as a small business, as a seven-figure small business, right? And I've been following Brian Clark with Unemployable ever since it started, if I'm not mistaken, way back in 2014. And so, I've observed, I've learned a great deal. In fact, I have bought several of his programs, and I've dig dig deep into the entire process of how he put this whole thing together itself. And just earlier this year, they also started the a membership site. And with that membership site itself, they did a several things that are truly interesting, that I think it's something that you and I can replicate. Now, if you look at certain websites, like for example, HubSpot, right? I mean, they have got great funnels, they have got a great system that enable them to run that 8 or 9 figure business the way they do. Now, while you may be able to dissect and deconstruct and replicate some of their processes, you may not be able to achieve the kind of results that they achieve, because there are certain parts that are missing, that it's invisible to the marketing funnel itself, but there are other parts that are in place. So, for instance, if you didn't see Amazon.com through the lens of a flywheel, you would probably be thinking of it either from a consumer point of view or a business point of view, or you're just looking at a website that is an e-commerce website that sells literally almost everything. So the the beauty of it seeing it through this lens itself is that it gives you a sense of how all these different parts are coming together. And and what's more important is I will also be sharing with you what are some of the things that you, as a one person 1 million or digital business, what is it that you could replicate, and what is it that you might need to adapt and make some tweaks, um, change some things before you could actually see the kind of results that you see in some of these flywheels. So what are we going to do is we are going to be dissecting this flywheel, and I'm going to do at least one every week. And so, it's going to go out in this session itself, in this live show. Plus, I'm also thinking of various ways of sharing this with everyone. Now, if you have a particular flywheel that you would like us to deconstruct, what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to send us an email, and you can email me direct at me@melvin.me, right? Me@melvin.me. So this is where you could send your email to, and let me know, if there is a particular flywheel that you would like me to deconstruct. Of course, I am going to I'm going to see whether those the flywheel that you have put up uh, kind of meets the criteria that allow me to do that deconstruction. Now, so the criteria is actually fairly simple. The main thing with any of this flywheel that we are dissecting is that it it has to be a digital business, right? It has to be a digital business. So we're not going to be, dissecting or deconstructing a flywheel for a brick and mortar um, business itself, but we're only looking at the part where it's a digital business. So whether you are a digital business owner or you intend to transform your business into a digital one, this would be a great tool for you to have, and that you will be able to know what are the things that people are doing and what is it that you can do and what is it that you can replicate. Okay, so with that itself, I thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you got a comment or if you got a question. Um, you know, below, I will be more than happy to answer those questions. And of course, if you have got a flywheel that you'd like me to consider, drop me an email or just leave a comment. And if you haven't already, um, if this video has been useful to you, give me a thumbs up, give me a like. And if you want more of such content, then subscribe to this channel or follow me on Facebook. And with that, I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye bye.